So I read over your consultation form. You kind of inherited this guy here?
Yeah, this is my brother's dog. Our brother's dog, my sister will probably be here momentarily. Okay, I just saw her turn the corner.
Oh, is that maybe her calling here?
Maybe. Wait. Ready? Ready? Find it. Ready? Jack, ready? Find it. Good boy. Good boy. Stay down. Wait. Wait. What's wrong, puppy? You know who that is? You just seen her. Come on.
What's your name? I didn't know.
Jesse.
Jesse, nice to meet you.
Good boy. All right. How old is Oh, and we found the website. We found the consultation form. We start recording training sessions and sessions and consultations. Okay.
Okay.
He's recording it. Yeah.
He's 11 months.
11 months.
He'll be 11 months on the 20th. He ain't 11 months yet.
Okay, he's 11 months in the first order.
Okay.
What's up, bud?
And it seems like you've hit like a plateau. It sounds like.
Oh, what'd you say?
Pretty much.
Like a plateau.
Yeah, I need direction. I need direction. I mean, at the house, I'm trying to see, like, in public, it's like this. He has he's not calm. He's not confident at all. In public, forget it. At home, we're making little progresses.
Transitions are really hard.
You know, him dealing with
Someone
other
coming
dogs.
in, someone leaving, changing location, being in the car.
Yeah.
But if it's just us or just Van, he will listen and he's very well behaved.
Okay. And if you go to like a new setting like this, does he give you this kind of frustrated behavior?
If he was?
If you're like in a new setting like this, does
Yeah.
he give you this frustrated
Yeah.
behavior?
This is very mild.
Okay.
The situation that we encountered outside with the dog,
Yeah.
we come a long way. That was very mild. And he doesn't want to attack, he wants to play. But he can't tell when somebody wants to fight him. He doesn't know. You know what I'm saying? I've seen him be in a fight and think it's a game. You know what I'm saying? He just says he doesn't get it.
Okay.
We've also had a hard time getting to socialize him. He is very socialized, but like he went to camp or day school, puppy, well, I don't know whatever it's called, but
Sure.
he couldn't stay because he kept humping all the other dogs. And when we take him to parks, he does that. He was fixed in December, but he's still, they think maybe the testosterone is still there. And so I don't know if we can train that out of him or just have to wait.
Okay. What else?
My main thing is out in public, I want him to come when I call him. He doesn't know when it's an emergency. He doesn't, you know what I'm saying? He doesn't know what's happening. He needs to be listening to me. And I can't focus him in when it's anybody other than just me and him. You know, in the car, he sees something and then has an anxiety attack or whatever, freaks out for about 5 minutes, really high pitch barking, you know what I mean? He's freaking out, trying to get out the seatbelt and shit. But that's not necessarily constant. But see, like right now, you're cool, bro, say hi, chill out. Like I want him to just get to this point faster. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that's possible. I can tell you about his background if you want. You know, his
He does have a unique background.
So he's from, our brother lives in DC. So he got the dog from Arkansas, from a farm in Arkansas. They took the dog to DC. You drove him. She drove him to DC. And then he spent 5 months there. My brother got deployed. He got deployed when November. We took him in November here in Chicago. So everything in Chicago was new to him. Come on. Hey, oh, hey, hey.
Not the threads, buddy.
Hey, you don't feel you're gonna hurt somebody. Yeah, so from November, like, he got dropped off, I don't know, like the 7th or something, or whatever. And that week, I started noticing different physical stuff. You know what I mean? So he's had his hip dysplasia, and he has SIBO, his gut. He has small intestine problems, pancreatitis stuff. And I started noticing, you know, we started getting into ultrasounds over the weeks and months and different kinds of stuff. He's still shaved, you know what I mean? We figured him out now. He has a real strict diet. Just Hill's prescription and boiled chicken.
Okay.
The thing that I've been, he's really food motivated, it seems, but I don't know how to use that to get him to be confident at home and out. I just want him to know where he's supposed to be at home and respond. We're getting there slowly, real slow. He's chewing stuff up. You know, I'm being able to let him out. I'm being able to let him out on his own, out of the crate for a couple hours at a time. When at first it was immediately 10 minutes, he's crying and chewing stuff. So we're going in the right direction as far as that, but it's happening real slow, and I feel like I could be doing it better. You know.
It feels like he has anxiety. If we keep him inside and we step outside, he just barks and barks and barks and barks and barks, won't stop. And he'll go for like an hour, or he just howls. And then he's just, I think leaving our other brother from DC, when he left him, everything kind of changed at that point, and he became very anxiety-ridden, follows you around everywhere, cries, tears his stuff up, doesn't sleep through the night, chews his beds up, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I feel like we had to start making progress when he came to us. You know, I don't feel like he really had those boundaries before, but you know, we're really learning as much as we can. In public, you know, again, what you're seeing is very mild. I went to Petco the other day. He's over the top, and he's not trying to attack anybody. He just doesn't realize when you're supposed to chill out. Like, you know what I mean? He doesn't realize when it's not playtime, when it's not, you know what I mean? We actually got,
knock over the displays.
he was knocking over displays. We got the nails and the teeth for free because the dude was just like, just go, yo. Just go. He said, just go. I'm trying to restrain him, and he's put his paws up on the desk, the counter, and snatched the money out of the dude's hand. You know what I'm saying? That's happening before. What you doing, bro? You over here tripping. Relax, bro. Relax.
So let's try this. I'm going to have you
sit. Good boy.
clip your leash to his flat collar. And do you mind if I take the leash? Please do. You will break it. Anything else?
There's a lot of specific stuff, but the general idea of how you see him and how he's all over the place, that's what we're trying to work with. Because the scene wherever he goes, you know what I mean? I want to make sure that he could just be okay in these different scenarios. You know, that's the general thing. You know, the sleeping through the night, the chewing that's at home, outside, everything. Everything, that distraction that you saw with the dog coming in, that'll happen if we see a dog walking down the street and we're in the car. He'll start going off, you know? Yeah,
Explain the overnight thing. Is he barking overnight?
He is, if I tried to leave him out at first, because when he was earlier in life, I guess he'd stayed out at our brother's house. So I tried to leave him out. He's chewing. Everything's chewed up. The couch cushions are over here, the blankets are over there, the stuff from his crate is chewed up, and somewhere else he's going through, you know, he started getting through the iPad chargers, you know what I'm saying? He started getting through the chargers and stuff, he's chewing everything. So I started putting him in the crate overnight. Up until about 6 hours, he's good. Now I think he's more. Now we're I think he can get through that 7th hour, but after that 6 hours, he started whining. He would start crying. And you know, everything in the crate, he would start tearing up. Went through bed after bed, bed after bed, until now he's got mats and some canvas stuff that he likes to move around. So that works. But you know, just trying to get him to be okay when he's on his own. was a challenge, and we're moving in that direction slowly. But the sleep thing was part of it. Outside in the backyard, we got a big backyard. He couldn't be out there by himself at first. If I left him out there 10 seconds, he's going crazy. Now, he's much better in the backyard. You know, we're just doing stuff little by little.
Okay. Is this stuff you researched on your own, or is this with the help of another trainer?
Researched on our own and with the help of a trainer at a different company that helped us. You know, he did the 3-week program, and then it became 3 visits, at-home visits. He actually 1 at-home visits and 2 in the facility, and he helped us get an angle that could take his mind off of what he's seeing. You know, you see how much I'm treating him. He has such a strict diet that's only chicken, but getting him before he notices the thing, whatever the distraction is a way to calm him down. So that we appreciate it. But as far as long term, I don't know if that's even training him anything, or if I'm just navigating around the problem. You know what I mean?
Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
Okay.
Reactivity, the other dogs we mentioned.
Yep.
You know what I mean? He doesn't ever get to the point where he wants to fight, but he doesn't know how to control himself. He loses himself, you know.
The harness, is that the trainer, or is that your?
The trainer gave us that.
The
It's
trainer gave us
a
that.
Tucker Pups in the West Loop.
Oh.
We had a different one. We have a couple.
Oh,
He gave us
of
that one.
collars? Yeah.
Of harnesses.
Oh, yeah.
That one comes on real easy. That's why I use that one. We also have a number of different collars.
Okay.
With prong collars. We got a lot of stuff.
Okay. Trying to find answers on.
We're trying to
Yeah.
I appreciate that. So, the issue here is lack of formal structure that he understands.
I believe you.
Okay.
Sounds so accurate.
I mean, yeah.
Because what you're doing is human stuff, right? And then, there's so many things here. One, I think, if I'm remembering what you said correctly, even when he was a young pup with your brother, he was still kind of like destructive of things. Was that correct?
Yes.
Okay. Which is typical puppy behavior. Okay. I am picking up some anxious energies,
Yeah.
most likely due to overstimulation, which is when you said he doesn't know how to turn off. Overstimulation is the brain's inability to turn off. Okay. So what happens is they get frustrated because he's needing something to try to pacify that the brain's movement. So that's why I asked to take him, because with you saw how he started pulling the leash and you started going over there and over there, right? When I took him, I haven't said anything to him. I just started asserting myself, okay? And it took me like 8 or 10 times, but I'm not telling him sit.
No.
What I was telling him to do was relax, okay? But this here, the whining and the peaking here, is the brain wanting to move again. So then if he were to get up, I would counter him, and then he'd lay down again. And the longer I were to have him, the more calmer you would see him be, okay? So what you're lacking here in your training is the don't do that. Everything is keep doing that,
Yeah.
but no, don't do that. Does that make sense? And that's where positive reinforcement falls short, is that they don't use corrections, right? A correction is like withdrawing the food, right? You're not going to eat that, or you're not going to get this, which for the dog isn't really a correction, because dogs fight each other. So this energy here, if another dog disagreed with it, they would just nip him or bite him and say, hey, your overstimulation is not healthy. It's not wanted here. And then he has the decision to either stop the overstimulation or to continue with it, but then risk being
Nipped again.
right? And in the dog world, in the animal world, they kill weak energy, or they don't save it. You know, so if a dog has a litter of puppies and one of those puppies can't get milk, doesn't mean she's gonna go, oh, let me make some milk for you, puppy. That puppy just don't get milk, and ultimately just passes, right? So here, humans, we tend to save, and because we're compassionate, right? Weak energies and all that stuff. Where in the animal world, you know, it's a theory of evolution, right? If you can't make it, you don't survive. So here, with the food, like outside of what happened with Harley, is harnesses provoke frustration.
I'm sorry. There was a dog.
I saw actually, I was
Yeah,
parking.
the big, beautiful dog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's Harley. The reactivity here, so the harnesses promote reactivity, okay? Harnesses promote reactivity because of, it creates resistance, okay? Because it puts pressure on the chest. Now you have a front clip harness. So these are called no pull harnesses, which is an oxymoron because harnesses are meant for pulling.
It's not real, it doesn't
Right.
work. That's what it's supposed to do.
And what happens is it's supposed to, it deters their pulling power because it deviates it to the side.
Right.
But ultimately, like I've seen dogs walk on their hind legs because they're pulling so hard.
He's
right?
Yeah.
been there several times.
Right.
Okay.
So harness is also part of the problem. Okay, so that's why I said clip them to the normal flat collar because I could make it work, but it's just easiest to just have control over the head. And all I'm doing is putting pressure on him to put him in a sitting position, which is really just telling him to relax. Obedience and behavior are two different things, okay? Think of obedience as education, think of behavior as morality. Sit, stay, come, math, English, science, don't jump, don't bark, don't bite, don't lie, don't steal, don't cheat, okay? Education doesn't make for a good person, right? So you can have someone who's a genius, be terrible. You can have someone who's a very good person, a smartest person, right? Same thing for dogs. You can have tricks up the wazoo, but still just be an anxious wreck, right? So here, obedience is do this, and then the behavior is don't do this, or don't do that, okay? So that's where corrections come into play. And it's just discipline and structure, okay? So human structure is like, I feed you in the morning, I take you out for potty, I take you out for walks, I play with you a bit. Like that's human idea of structure. Dog structure is, oh, you're trying to get close to me while I eat my food, I'm gonna bite you. Oh, you're trying to pet me and I don't want to be pet, I bite you. It's consequence for things they don't like. Okay, that's dog structure. So here, I'm assuming you guys did research on me before booking the consult?
Yeah, it was a recommendation from my partner's mother, and I saw that she just emailed. She said, "Look this guy up. He's in Chicago. He was in Miami or Florida."
Oh, yeah.
And I looked at all the videos, and
Okay.
you look good on video.
Thank you. I put a few pounds in the past few years, but
It looks good.
So I studied with Richard Hines, who's known as the Miami Dog Whisperer. And I was there many years ago for a 3-month internship. And then I came back here to start my business. So we use prong and e-collar, right? So you have prong, which is good. That's actually, out of everything you've mentioned so far, your best tool, if you know how to use it correctly.
He really, it's night and day.
Yeah.
He really is different on it. I just didn't know if I was
Doing like the right thing.
Right.
Yeah,
I feel like it hurts them.
and getting him addicted to the collar. Because then I'm like, okay, well, is he gonna be okay when I don't have this? Or
That's a
if I
good
don't?
question.
You know,
That's a good
that's
question.
kind of where I was, because if I almost brought it today, but I can feed him now. At the pool, you were right about the pool. He can't eat before he gets into the pool. So that prong collar, because I couldn't get his attention out of the way, he acted way differently when we got there. Yeah.
So prong collar looks bad, right? Because it looks like spikes. But it's meant to mimic a dog bite. That's
Oh.
literally what it's designed to do. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's not the tool, it's how you use the tool. Okay? So prong collar would have been is your best tool. And e-collar for me is the ultimate tool. Because that's what gets me off leash reliability. Okay? And in my opinion, it's the only tool that can guarantee or get to as close to a guarantee of off leash control as possible. Because with food, if he's off the leash and there's something more rewarding or he's under too much stress, how are you gonna get your dog back?
Yeah.
Right? Prong collar, same thing. If you remove the leash, it's a great tool on leash, but how do you get your dog back? That's where e-collar comes into play. Okay. Also, prong collar can be confrontational for some people because you're actively having to pop your dog on the leash and stuff, and then they feel like they're hurting their dog, right? And it's hard for people to kind of get over. Whereas e-collar, there's a disconnect because it's just you press a button, right? And e-collar, some people call it shock collar. That's a inappropriate term.
I saw the video. There's
yeah.
a lady describing how they're different.
Yeah, they're talking about the different technology.
You know, the thing that they put on your back, the stimulation thing. You know what I'm talking about? That's what the same thing is.
Yeah.
That's on the collar.
E-collar is a miniaturized tennis unit. So it's the same thing they use for physical therapists, chiropractors use it. They use a lot in sports therapy, with their muscles and stuff like that. They use it to rebuild muscle strength. If you've not been able to use your arm for a long time for whatever reason, they use a small crank to stimulate the muscles to get them to move, to build that strength. If you ever watch those videos where they recreate labor contraction pains in men, it's the same technology because it's a muscle contraction, right? Except obviously labor contractions are not are not pleasant, right? So they're operating at a very high level. So same with the e-collar, our collars go 0 to 127 in increments of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way to 127. Older models would go to like levels 3 and 5. So 5 and 127 would be the same in terms of power, but we have 122 more divisions now, so it's much more refined, okay? And people, when they think of these tools, they tend to think of them as punishers. Not that they cannot be used that way. It's a style of training for sure, but it's not actually how we go about it. So right now, when you saw me pulling up and pushing down on him here to get him to relax, that's what we would call pressure. I'm putting physical pressure on him to tell him, cut what you're doing, just chill, okay? And I continue to do that. When you would give me what I wanted, I eased up that pressure. It's the same thing with prong and e-collar. You would put pressure on him with the prong collar, guiding him to do something, and the moment he did it, you would relax that pressure. E-collar is the same way. I'm using the button, I'm contracting the muscle, I'm putting pressure on the dog, and once he gives me the behavior I'm looking for, it disappears. So he's learning how it turns on and how it turns off, okay? So here, with a case like this, the first thing I would cover is the heel command, how to walk on a leash, okay? My style of heel is very strict. I take 5 steps, he takes 5 steps. I take 3 steps, he takes 3 steps. I stop, he automatically sits. I don't care what the setting is. I don't care if you're at a busy park, I don't care if you're at Home Depot, I don't care if you're at Petco, you're gonna be at my hip, okay? The reason why we always cover that first is heel tends to fix 60 to 70% of problems, okay? Overstimulation issues, anxiety issues, nervous issues, fear issues, reactivity issues, because it's one, teaching the brain how to turn off, because he has to turn off the brain to everything else to focus on you, okay? The second thing is, it's not the obedience that's helping Jack, right? It's not the obedience that's helping Jack. It's the consequence. It's the contraction. It's the discomfort. Because the e-collar is what I call like a bite on the button. So you're nipping and biting at him for things that you disagree with, and that's what's actually calming him down. Okay, it's not the heel, it's not the sit, it's not the stay, because if that was the case,
We wouldn't be doing it.
Yeah.
Exactly, right? So that's where positive reinforcement falls short. It actually stimulates the brain. And you already have a dog that struggles with stimulation issues as it is. Because food puts dogs into drive. So when I saw you outside and you said, like, find it, and he went into this like kind of whoa, right? And then Harley, the stress of Harley overrode the situation, right? And then same thing here, when I saw you dropping the food, he's right, and you see him get very stimulated, that's actually just feeding the problem. When you're needing is like, just chill. You know, like I've not said anything to this dog other than a or two, right? And then just touch. So like autistic children, if they have an episode, if they have a service dog, one thing that they do is have the service dog sit on them to put pressure on them because pressure helps calm. Okay, and I've trained dogs for people with like panic disorders or anxiety disorders, where we train the dog to sit on the person when they have or starting to have an anxiety attack, because pressure calms. So every time you saw me put him under pressure, I'm slowly de-escalating the brain, getting him calm. But he's so used to being a certain way is that he's still, as you can see, stimulated. Okay. So, and this is much more nuanced. You guys familiar with Cesar Millan?
Yeah.
Kind of our Mexican guy. Yep. So his methodology is what I'm doing right now.
I never saw the shell word.
I'm always talking about the thing.
Yeah. So that looks familiar, right? So that's all Caesar stuff. When you saw me touching him, this is all Caesar stuff, okay? But this is Caesar methodology, very effective, very difficult to teach to the average person, okay? That's why I don't teach it that much. So in training, we have 3 primary methods. We have food only, we have prong collar, gentle leader, and then we have e-collar, okay? Food only has the lowest ceiling in terms of success. I know people talk about it like it's the greatest thing ever. If it was, we wouldn't be here.
But it's all we've been doing and it's not working.
Yes, I get this conversation all the time. If positive reinforcement worked as well as they tout it does, there would be much more better trained dogs out, right? Because it's the most widely practiced, widely accepted, and approved method of training, right? But it's all just BS and lies. Prong collar, better, but limited by the leash. You have to have that leash on, okay?
Right.
Remote collar, on or off leash. We have a means of control, okay? Questions on any of this stuff so far?
No. You're covering the stuff that was, the information that was in the video. You're covering it.
Yeah, it's pretty standard because I've been doing this for so long. I know the questions and the struggles that people have, you know. So here, with this guy, I pick up some anxiety, okay? Anxiety is a stress response. So don't be surprised if you start remote collar, is you're gonna see an influx in anxiety, okay? Because e-collar is a stressor, but it's a controlled stressor, okay? So we can actually use negatives to build confidence, okay? So if I put him under stress and he starts to get anxious and maybe he tries to flee or he tries to like shut down and stuff, e-collar is the only tool that can make a dog make the decision to counter themselves, okay? Because if I did a prong collar and he tried to run away from me, I'd have to physically drag him.
Yes.
Right? E-collar, he's gonna make the decision to not run away, okay?
Yes.
So what happens is, the brain goes into, this is too much for me, I'm not gonna move, right? For example, my collar goes to 127. Let's say we're operating at 20. He shuts down, 20, 25, 30, 35, and I keep going up, right? Everybody has a breaking point. Finally, he hits 60, and he goes, all right, I don't want to do it, but I'm gonna have to do it. He moves forward, pressure disappears. Okay, so it can make the brain move forward by decision, okay, by his choice. And that's actually where the confidence is built. So many years ago, I worked with a personal trainer, and like, I was tired. I'm like, I'm not gonna do anymore. He's like, you're gonna do 5 more reps. Like, no, I'm tired, man. He's like, you're gonna do 5 more reps. And he was like, you know, helping me, coaching me along and stuff, and I did 5 more. And then he was clapping and made a big deal about it. But he was able to motivate me verbally, because I understand what his words meant, right? And his energy. He doesn't understand what our words mean, okay? So what we have to do is nip and bite at him, increase that pressure until eventually he decides to make that decision to move forward, okay? And then once he moves forward, we ease up the pressure, we go down, we try again, okay? So whenever, if you were to lock up and stuff, so that confidence you're talking about, right, is potentially, we can build it there, okay? But expect to see some kind of signs of stress in the beginning, shaking, salivating, panting, all that stuff, like all this here, right?
I mean, we're used to it. Yeah, that's nothing that we haven't seen
Once
before.
you get them over it, it should all go away, okay? But you have to keep exposing them, okay?
Wait, did you say the salivating is something? What is?
It's a stress response.
He's drooling all the time.
He drools, like it seems so excessive.
Is it drooling or is it panting and salivating?
It is, he's gonna pant and he's gonna yelp and then it starts
Yeah.
salivating type thing all at once. Like it's
And what is this over?
you know, he'll have episodes of
Like when
a
I came
couple
over
of
to
minutes.
mom's house.
Yeah, I mean, he'll have episodes of like 5 minutes. It'll take him a while to reset. But I've seen one as long as 15 minutes. We went to the doctor that day. He was going the whole time. And I mean, it doesn't sound like a long time if you don't, you know, if you have never experienced it. But having the dog freak out for that long is like you feel a little helpless. You know?
Oh, for sure.
It does, we get tired.
So this is the resistance.
It's spiky.
I think every single thing that you said, it makes total sense for this dog.
I think
Every
that's
single thing.
totally what we're missing too. I feel like sometimes I don't know if I could say no to him. Like I don't know that he understands no.
Well, no, he doesn't. Because no is human language. Right, so he needs no in his language, which would be physical contact. Right, so like right now, I'm technically telling him no, but this is a subtle no. Whereas again, the dog would just bite him. So like with the prong collar, because he's got the collar here, so you saw me do a couple of pops.
Yeah.
The prong collar will do this and create a biting motion, which is more of his language. Okay, so we can teach him to associate what no means by applying an aversive after it. So then he knows, oh, when I hear the word no, it means I'm going to get corrected on the remote, or it means I'm going to get corrected on the prong collar, whatever tool that is that you're using. So like for me growing up, I was raised old school, I was spanked. So if my mom said don't do that, it only meant don't do that. So the first time I got my ass whooped. Right? And then don't do that had a totally different meaning. Same thing for dogs. If you're constantly saying no and like you're shaking a can of pennies or you're redirecting them to something else or putting them in the kennel, that's nothing that he understands.
That's everything we're doing.
Yeah, it's just super common. You know, and I get it, because people don't want to hurt their dogs. Spanking hurt, but the intention was not to hurt me. So I mean, that's just the part of discipline. But the world is just going in this whole, it's abuse thing if you, discipline your dog. And I go, dogs bite each other. What are you talking about? That's not discipline. And like,
you see how it is.
yeah.
I mean, if it was this level though, it wouldn't be so taxing. The way that you got him right now, it's constant, but it's not, you're not muscling him every second. Like,
Sure.
you know what I'm saying? The way that it's over here, maybe he's just on go. He wouldn't have stopped. This whole time, he wouldn't have stopped. Unless he had him, you know what I mean? Or if he was still over here by me, he's going crazy still.
Yeah. No, for sure. That's why.
Yep, thank you.
So here, that's a dog bite.
Oh.
Okay? That's 10 stitches.
What kind of
Okay?
dog?
The dog that you saw outside.
That was him.
That was him.
Oh
Okay?
my God.
The white, he's fine. He's social. He's friendly. It was, he didn't want to go in the kennel. That's it. He didn't want to go in the kennel. Never been in the kennel in his life.
Oh, wow.
We got him at a year old for a 4-week boarding training. Literally the first day, I did some training with him. He was doing great. I went to put him in the kennel. He's like, nah, bro.
Hell no.
Boom.
Wow.
Okay? So that's a dog. Don't want to do something? I'll fight you for it. Right? Oh, you want this bone? I'll fight you for it. That's a dog. Right? So I'm not saying that you're going to be like whapping your dog all over the place, but he needs to be corrected. He needs to be talked in his own language. And e-collar allows us to do that the most efficiently, in my opinion, because it's at the press of the button. Takes the least amount of technical skill. I saw you with the clicking and the rewarding and stuff like that. Good job. I mean, for a dog owner, I saw you're doing good. But unfortunately, it just doesn't work. Okay? E-collar, super simple. I don't even test the dog anymore. I coach you through it. You learn everything from ground zero, but it works. Okay? Literally everything is like within the class. We get it done. And you practice. Okay? The difficult stuff is simply going to be the behavioral stuff, because that stuff, it's not obedience related, right? So the idea here is...
That's what I have the most questions about. I totally am with you. You said just two different worlds. I read all about that. I got the questions on how to make him choose, like you said, when it comes to the behavioral stuff. What do you do about that? You know?
Yeah. So behavior is easier than people think.
Okay.
Because it's mostly just don't do that, right? Chewing on something, don't chew on it. Jumping on me, don't jump on me.
Yeah, that's another.
Barking, don't bark out the window, right? Whining, don't whine. It's literally that simple. But people tend to use obedience to try to fix behavior, right? So earlier, what was it? A dog with a client got aggressive, and they were like telling the dog to sit. And I'm like, don't worry about sit. Just correct the dog and teach him not to be aggressive. That was it. That's literally all you need to do. Is aversive to stop the behavior you don't want. Sit, stay, down, come, place, heel has no place right now, right? So same thing for this guy. The obedience stuff is what's going to take time. Not natural for him to sit on command or come on command and all that stuff. That's human psychology applied to dogs. His psychology is simply, I don't allow that, so I'm going to correct you, okay? And I educate people on both. Questions so far about this stuff?
I have a question. If you I guess if it wasn't the collar and you're doing the Caesar thing where you do the kind of thing, sometimes he might nip back. It can that happen with the e-collar?
Excuse me.
Is that,
Yes and
are
no.
we teaching him to be aggressive?
So aggression. So like if you correct him and he nipped you back, do you think that's aggression?
Kind of.
I wouldn't think so.
Why not?
Because he didn't start it.
Okay.
He's responding.
Responding, and what is that response?
That's like everything that you've been saying. He's just doing what he knows to do.
Okay.
He
So-
said everything is off.
He didn't like you doing it, so he did it back to you.
Right. He's like, what the fuck is this?
So you're looking, you're good guesses, okay? He does something I don't want him to do. I correct, and he back. He's correcting me back. Who are you to correct me? Is what that conversation is, okay?
Right.
Because remember, dog. So aggression would be every time I touch him, he bites me. That's touch sensitivity. That's touch, boundary aggression, if you will. It's consistent. Every time I put my hand on him, he bites me. Okay. When it's more conversation based, hey, don't do that, because it's very common with puppies. So you see how he's.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, there we go. Aggression is every time someone walks in the house, he bites them, right? Every time you go near his food, he bites you. That's aggression. If I correct him, like right now, if he did that, I wouldn't be surprised. I'm just some dude that took the leash from you 20 minutes ago and started asserting myself, right? Would you let someone come into your home and just say what to do? No.
Like that.
Good. Same thing here. And this happens as young as 2 months. When people try to correct their puppies, and the puppy like snaps at them or growls at them or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, I'm making the puppy aggressive. I'm like, no, the puppy's saying, even though they're 2 months, who are you to try to correct me?
And they just won if you stopped.
So you
They
do it
just
again?
won.
You
And then you just taught them that if they come back at you, they can do what the hell they want to do. You just taught them that.
Mm-hmm. But people go, oh, that's a 2-month-old puppy. Dogs bite their puppies,
Yeah.
right? So that's the whole spiel, right? I have a Doberman here. She's 4.5 months. She's here for a 4-week board and train. I posted a video of her on e-collar training. Dog's phenomenal. And everybody's like, oh my God, those methods are too harsh for that puppy. I'm like, maybe the way you would use them is too harsh. But if you look at the puppy, she's having a fun time. She's engaged, she's having fun, she likes the pressure, she wants to work, right? But people, the way they think, they just don't understand it, okay? So with this guy, in terms of length of time and cost and stuff, it just comes down to how much control you're wanting, okay? Because I only teach what I think you need and what you want, okay? So you're in the 6, 9 to 12 class range, okay?
Okay.
1 day a week for an hour. If you did 6 classes, we focus on the heel. That's the first 2 classes. Almost always heel is going to be the first thing we teach, okay? We see what does that fix. If everything is going great, but there's some like behavioral stuff, like in the house, like maybe he's still whining or whatever, and we want to correct, I teach you how to correct him correctly, okay? It's not always going to be e-collar based, because earlier when you mentioned with the prong collar, like, is he going to need this forever or something?
Right, tool, but yeah.
Yeah, which I'll talk about that. So 2 classes on heel, a class on how to correct your dog, which is simple. It's like teaching a parent how to spank their kid, okay? Then classes 4 and 5 can be recall. That's typically a 2-class exercise. And then class 6 could be a review. Class 6 can be, hey, we have these couple of things that we're still struggling with. Or it can be, can we learn something new? And I'm like, sure, this is what I can get done in the class. 9-week would be all that stuff, plus most likely stationary control, which is go here, no move for the next 2 hours, okay? And then 12-week is like all the commands, there's 6 functional commands: sit, stay down, come, place, heel. And I help you build it to off-leash reliability, okay? So think of 6 classes as I walk my dog, we go to the dog park. 9-week is walk my dog, go to the dog park, go to restaurants. And 12-week is all that stuff, plus we go hiking, plus we go to the dog beach. Like, I'm gonna do a lot of stuff with this dog, okay? If it's just, we want answers and just walk my dog and call my dog, 6 classes, okay? That's the minimum. And then it just depends on how much control you want after that, okay?
You talking to a person, I would not hesitate to do 24 weeks, 52 weeks, and then we can just keep going. But we don't have him for
Trust
so
me,
long.
it's not that long.
Okay, well, but we don't have him for so long. Our brother comes back on
Mid-May.
mid-May.
Mm.
That's when he's back.
Mhm.
And so he's gonna take the dog back to DC.
Mm.
So we're at the 9-week mark. Or is it 8-week mark? Let's just do it for the rest of the time he's here.
If we could.
You know what I'm saying?
Is this a class with other people or just?
It's private.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one-on-one.
I was about to say, how the hell would he be able to do the first class
I remember.
with other people? You know what I'm saying?
It's funny, because a lot of places do group classes. I have never done them, other than for puppies. But if anything, if I did do group classes, it would be first private classes,
Yeah.
and then you would graduate to group
That's
classes.
Yeah,
how I
that's-
figured that it would be,
Mhm.
and that's probably, you know what I'm saying, what we were thinking would happen. Like, we would have him private, and by the time Benny gets back, he can start group classes in DC.
Mhm.
But is that long enough? I guess that's a whole different conversation. I'm
Yeah.
asking for recommendations.
The other thing is just that everybody uses remote collar differently, and very few people use it the way I do. Okay, and that's a whole nother conversation. But when it comes down to the question of needing the collar, right? You guys drive?
Yes.
You go on the expressway?
Yes.
You go speed limit? Right?
Ish. I definitely do lots of times. No one else ever does.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So it's called opportunistic behavior. Okay. When you can get away with something, you're gonna try it. Okay. And speeding on the expressway is the most common thing that most people do not obey. Right. But you see a squad car, what happens?
You slow down.
Yeah, it goes.
Downtown never. Downtown, when you're going through, the speed limit is 45. Nobody's doing 45.
Oh, yeah.
Nobody.
Lakeshore is 45.
Yeah, the speed limit is 45.
Yeah, nobody goes.
Nobody's doing 45.
Yeah.
No.
So opportunistic behavior. No one's around to enforce that law. Why not? Okay. Same thing for the dog. Think of your e-collar as a cop on a collar. Think of your prong collar as a cop on a collar, right? When it's present, he's going to behave better. It's just opportunistic behavior. However, the only time you'll really need the e-collar is when there's going to be things out of your control. So if you're out on a walk outside,
Environment stuff.
yeah, you can't control that stuff, right? You're going to have guests come over, there's extra stimuli. You have the collar on. When you're home alone with him, and it's like we don't need him to be under obedience commands or anything like that,
Yeah.
I give you other means of correction so you're not dependent on the collar. Okay? So it's a balance of all these things together. Questions about any of this stuff?
No, I'm into it.
So you have until May.
Yeah.
Your brother comes back. You do all this work.
Yeah.
You don't even have to keep going, bro. You
We're-
don't even have to keep going. I'm talking about
We
it
put in a
constantly,
lot
bro.
of work too.
I know, and I'm just like,
Paying
this
so
has
much
been
attention.
7 months since you got, or you got him at 7 months?
We got him at 7 months since November.
The thing was, Benny didn't
4
do
months.
any training, so
Mm.
we got a terrible dog.
He-
So then we had to.
He did boot camp. He did the boot camp.
Yeah,
sit
so he knew Sid
and
and
paw.
sort
That
of.
was
If he had nothing around him and it was just you
Right,
and you were
right. And
at
that was it.
home.
That's it.
Yeah,
It
so
is-
we were forced to contact every trainer in the city
Yeah,
because we just.
he wouldn't do
couldn't-
anything.
We didn't know how to.
He wouldn't calm down. He would, this dude's jumping on the bed and peeing, looking right at you, like what you gonna do about it? You know what I'm saying? Yo, the whole nine. We've made a lot of progress, just like you said, on positive.
Yeah.
But like you said, being able to go to the dog park, being able to go to a restaurant and have him chilling with you, no way. We're nowhere near that. We gotta get there. We gotta get there. I mean, the whole rest of the time we have him. Let's just, if we have to book the 9 and we might not get to that, we only have 8.5, so be it. I mean,
We can double a class.
Yeah.
And maybe if you would be open to it, the last session or the last 2 sessions, Benny, when he's here in Chicago,
Absolutely.
comes to
Yeah,
the.
Absolutely. The main concern though, would just be, is he gonna reinforce it?
No doubt.
We're working, we've talked to him, but I don't think there's a choice not to.
he thought, the weird thing is that he thought that he was doing this stuff. It took
Yeah.
us paying attention, noticing the problems with the dog, noticing how much you have to do to pay attention, for him to now over the phone,
Yeah.
get on board like, oh shit, there's a lot to, you know what I'm saying? That's what I think happened, is that he thought he was doing what he needed to
And
do.
when he got-
was being a great friend.
He left him at 5 months, so he was half the size he
Oh
is
yeah,
today.
he is this damn near
And he was a
different dog.
quarantine puppy. He didn't see people because he was when we were all in
COVID stuff.
lockdown and all that. And so he was, yeah.
He was a great friend, but as far as a parent,
Sure.
setting the dog up to be okay on his own, you know you're getting, you know what I'm saying? He didn't know at first, but then you have to leave him for a while, like,
Mhm.
how is this dog gonna behave? He didn't do that stuff. You know what I mean? Like the stuff that you read, the stuff that you think about when the dog's following you from room to room, that's the separation thing.
Mhm.
You got, you can't just allow that. When the dog's jumping up on you, you can't just allow that. You gotta do something,
Mhm.
you know? And so I think that would be the change. I'm on the,
And
I'm
that's
on
a
the
great
level,
analogy.
y'all.
Is I always tell people, like, you can't be your dog's buddy.
Yeah, that's
You have to be an
exactly.
authority figure, a parent,
You
a
have to.
teacher.
You gotta do all that. You could be friends later on. You know what I'm saying? This dude, we saw a guy walking the lab. That was a lab hound mix. What'd he say?
Without
the lab was
leash.
like 11. He had no leash on. He was like, oh yeah, I mean, he doesn't want to go anywhere but be my B now. You know what he said? He
The
said, what's the
prong
secret?
collar.
He said, prong collar.
Mm.
He said, I used the prong collar now. That's why we're good, because I did that for years.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah,
So he
yeah.
said.
Sure. And you said dog was 11?
That was a
Yeah,
11-year-old
that
dog.
was, yeah.
Chilling, walking a little bit away from him, coming back.
And we're
Came up
like,
to
he's
Roxy.
losing it in the back seat, like,
Yeah.
we have to put a seatbelt on him and he undoes the seatbelt and we're throwing chicken in the back seat, find it, it's not
It's a
working.
mess, it's a mess.
No, don't do that.
It's a mess.
It's just carpet.
It's a mess.
Okay. So, next thing would be, getting you on the calendar, which Maria will handle this, okay?
Okay,
Is my evenings and weekends are busy because most people are 9 to 5 now.
Right.
You know,
So we do 1 class a week?
1 class a week. Correct. So if you can if you're available during the week, like, you know, like on a, you know, Friday at 2 or something, easier to get you on the schedule faster because no one really books those times, okay? If you're looking for an evening or weekend time, it's gonna be a bit. I just had you guys are the third consultation I had today.
Mm-hmm.
We after 2020 going to 21, man, it just
Spiked.
yeah.
everyone we've talked to has said that.
The dog trainers all
Yeah.
say that. They say
Yeah.
this is the most lucrative year they've had because maybe of the pandemic,
Oh, yeah.
dogs coming up differently.
A lot of issues, territorial issues, antisocial issues. Yeah, a lot of problems from 2020. But yeah, if you have a daytime availability during the week, we can get you in much more quickly. Okay. The color that this guy would need, and Maria would send you this information, is the Dog Show Black Edition. Okay. You get them on Amazon, so send you the information for that. Collar is about $325 for tax. Okay. It's a really good collar. The best in my opinion. Will last you for years. I've had mine for 8 years, no issues. Most common thing we see is the battery does die because it's a rechargeable lithium battery, that's much like your cell phone. So then, like, let's say after a few years, the battery's not holding a charge anymore. You call Dog Show. Hey, I need a battery for, you know, Black Edition, collar, whatever. $15-20. They'll send it to you, or you can send it in. They'll replace it themselves, and then you're good to go. Okay. Maybe you might need the pair prong collar with this guy, so I'll just have you bring it with you for the class, just to give you a bit more leverage, expedite the process a little bit, and then pretty much just go from there. Okay.
How long does it take for the collar to come?
If you get on Amazon,
Yeah.
2 days.
2 days. You get it for
Okay,
him.
great.
If you have Prime, 2 days, and then I think you even have the opportunity or option to extend the warranty on there to like a 3-year warranty. They come with a 1 year, but I think some places offer a 3-year extension. Other questions?
I mean, that tells me, buy this collar, get the collar on the way, schedule the first class. That's where I'm at. You know what I'm saying?
So what I
I'm
would
on
do
board.
is, if you know what you want, 6 or 9, turn around, email Maria, sign this up for 6. We know we need the Black Edition or whatever, or let me know what the color is that I need.
I'll just email her. Okay.
Yeah, because it's first come, first serve, right? So she turns around and I email her, and she turns around and emails everybody else. So if you already just shoot that email, she's like, okay, then you really want to start. We just start getting that process going, okay? Because I know you're on unlimited time frame.
Yeah, we only have so many weeks. How long would the wait be? Do you have any idea, or does she know the schedule?
If you have daytime availability, it should be I think I have a lady signing up for tomorrow, and I saw them last week. But she's starting up for daytime on Monday. But yeah, just tell her like, hey, we're available Tuesday or today or whatever time, and she can get you in as quickly as possible. Otherwise, for some people, they've been waiting for as long as 2 weeks. Okay. So, but yeah, but that's the factor. It's just they want a weekend or an evening time.
That's what everybody.
How early do you normally start?
At 10 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do transports here. So I pick up all the morning dogs for daycare. So then.
Oh, you have daycare too.
Yeah, we do daytime boarding. So here, I do my transports in the morning, and then by 10 o'clock, I'm back and they will like kind of settle in, and then we start the training. And I train as late as somebody wants. Like I think my latest client right now ends at like 8:15, but I train till like 9:30. You know.
Do you think that the humping thing can be trained?
Oh yeah. So the humping thing is overstimulation. It's not. You know, so after neutering, hormones should take about a month to dip to go down. Anything that's hormone based, we were supposed to see a change. You know, humping, mounting, the need to replicate, marking behaviors, things like that tend to go away. But in your case, all that you saw earlier, that's why he's humping. It's overstimulation.
You know, the other trainer said too, he's like, I wish we could let the other dogs bite him to tell him no, but they wouldn't allow that at the Tucker Pubs.
That facility. They don't
So if we
allow.
had the shock thing, or not the shock, e-collar,
Yeah, you can
essentially.
correctly call it.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, no problem.
Maybe
You know.
we should do some daycare too if we could.
Yeah, he's welcome to come.
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, look, the thing that I want is the class. I'll do a daycare session too, you know what I mean? But yeah, let's get our class scheduled. Because to me, that's sounding like I have to start. I mean, if you know what I mean, I have to get this going, regardless of what Benny does. I have to, as soon as I can, be able to know what he's doing right now. So then I can at least tell Benny everything, you know what I mean? Like, I have to be able to do this. And even honestly, I'm trying to make it seem like it's for him, it's for me. At this point at home, I'm like, yo, what?
You want some peace of mind?
Straight up, I want to know, okay, we can control you every time that we need to. And like we talked about, you can make decisions that are the appropriate decisions. You know where to be and when, and I can correct you the way that I can. Because right now, like you're seeing, I can't really correct. I can reinforce, I can reward, but I'm not correcting effectively.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with people, right? Like, if you do something wrong, you get a ticket, you go to jail, right? We got consequences. People aren't managed by rewarding good behavior, right? No one tells me good job for going the speed limit and like stopping at stop signs and stuff.
Right, way to not get arrested this year. Here's a check. Here's a $5 check. Yeah, right.
So if you know what you're ready to sign up for, just turn around and email Maria to get that process going. I'm gonna email her as well to give her your information.
Thank you.
And then you can let her know like, hey, we got that daytime availability. Get us in as soon as possible. Okay. And I'll put in a word as well to tell her like they're on the time constraint to try to get you in more quickly.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I appreciate it. Otherwise, nothing out of the ordinary here. I see this shit all the time. Overstimulation issues is one of the most common things that I deal with because nobody fucking disciplines their dogs.
Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody wants
And
to
all
do
the trainers
positive.
we talked to didn't, I feel like that's what we were missing.
Nobody was using e-collar from what I looked up.
Or even, but like the treating him find it. Like I felt like, yes, this is working, but he's not understanding, no, don't do what you're doing right
You're just
now.
redirecting.
And don't get me wrong, I feel like, and I don't think that you feel this way, it doesn't sound like, I feel like that would work. It would just take forever. It'll take until the dog naturally grows out of this puppy teenage brain. So if you want to keep doing this for the next 2 years, you know what I mean? Until he's 3 trying to get, I think that you can make progress like that. But nah, we're trying to get this to a point where he understands what he's going to live like without just guessing for another year. You know what I'm saying? Just trying,
So, you ever touch a hot stove?
Yeah.
Do it again?
Hell no.
Right. That's the power of reversives. That's why they move forward so quickly. Okay. And it's not because I'm lazy. It's not because I don't want to take the time. It's because you as an owner want to see results because it motivates you. You're like, man, that's a fucking change. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. That's the biggest thing when we do the heel. Like people are surprised how quick the dogs learn it. Like they're like, I've spent 2 years. I had a client literally spent $10,000 on different positive reinforcement trainers. They told him his dog was aggressive. I walked in, I said, your dog's not aggressive. He's like, fuck you. And I knew why.
I don't believe that at all.
He's like, I know how many people have had come here telling my dog has been aggressive to euthanize my dog and all that stuff. And I said, I'll get this done in 6 classes. Because his dog wasn't aggressive, it was overstimulated, but his method, the dog's approach to alleviating the overstimulation was to snap at people when they got too close. And it wasn't even being aggressive, it had to go somewhere. So he was using his mouth. We did literally 2 classes, and on the first class when I came in, he was like, holy shit. He's like, my dog is snapped at no one, people can pet him. And I go, yeah, because it was just discipline. It was settling the brain down. It was relaxing the dog, because it's not healthy to be in this over-aroused state for extended periods of time. But the reason why I knew the dog wasn't aggressive is because I had my sleeve, my bite sleeve, and then when I touched the dog didn't do anything.
So if it was like you said earlier, if it's aggression, it's going to be consistent. Every single time, something's going to happen.
And you know what else was happening? Is that when people wanted to touch the dog, they were, oh my God, look at you, right? So now the dog's overstimulation and adding that energy, it was throwing the dog over the top. Okay, and when I came in, I actually wanted to touch the dog's just like, shut up. And I was like, your dog's not aggressive, But nobody does that. The guy that I studied with in Miami, Richie Hines, this is his methodology. And I've shaped it to fit my personality type and how I teach and stuff. But he's the only trainer that I saw that was coming into places with a suit on and letting dogs attack him to correct the behavior, because the dog has to perform the behavior and be corrected for it in order for it to learn. It's not an option.
It has to do it for it to know.
Yes,
Okay.
but obviously no one wants to let the dog fight him, right? But that's why we have suits. I have a 60-pound bite suit here that allows me to do all that stuff. So, for me, nothing out of the ordinary, pretty straightforward stuff.
Okay.
So, if you have any other questions, you can let Maria know. Otherwise,
Send me with anything that you want right now. Whatever you tell me to do, I'm gonna do. I mean, the thing that you showed me, that you didn't really show me, but the thing that you did, the pressure, I'll keep that in mind.
go to your prong
show.
collar.
Yeah.
Switch to your prong collar.
Okay.
Switch to your prong collar. It was working.
It does.
You know, and I just think, of course, how we felt about it, and then just, you know, maybe stuff that you read on the internet just deterred you, but now look at where we're at. Okay? So, Frank, if you need anything else, let us know. In the meantime, excuse me.